Today we are going to discuss about the various approaches to the study of nationalism in India. Before we discuss, in my previous class, uh, I have already discussed with you different concept of nation and nationalism and the causes for the growth of nationalism in India, how nationalism played an important factor for the development of Indian national movement, and nationalism played a vital role for the development of Indian national freedom struggle, and it also helps in the latter period to highlight the different movements, revolutionary movements, and the movements of Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, popularly known as Bapu. His three important movements, particularly non-cooperation, civil disobedience movement, and Quit India movement, which always opposed to the British colonial policy, and Mahatma Gandhi, with the help of Jawaharlal Nehru um, and different national freedom fighters, they achieved at last the independence and formed a new India in the year 1947. So, my dear students, nationalism, ଜାତୀୟତା ଭାବ ବା ଜାତୀୟତା ବୋଧ, ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ୱାର୍ଡଟି ଜାତୀୟତା, ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ନିଜର ଗୋଟେ ଯେମିତି ନିଜସ୍ୱ ଭଳିଆ ଲାଗୁଛି, ଯୋଉଟା କି ଆମେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ଦେଇକି ବିଭିନ୍ନ ସ୍ତର ଦେଇକି ଏ ଜାତୀୟତା ଭାବ ଗତି କରିଅଛି ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପିରିୟଡରେ, ଯଥା 1800 ଖ୍ରୀଷ୍ଟାବ୍ଦରୁ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିକି 21 ଫାଷ୍ଟ ଟିଲ୍ ଟୁଡେ ଏ ଜାତୀୟତା ଭାବ ଆମ ଭିତରେ ଗତି କରିଅଛି। ଏବଂ ଏଇ ଜାତୀୟତା ଭାବ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ ହେଇଥିଲା, ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ତାର କାରଣ ଗୁଡିକ ଥିଲା, ଏବଂ ଏଇ ଜାତୀୟତା ଭାବ ଦ୍ୱାରା ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଅଗ୍ରଗତି ହେଇଥିଲା, ଏବଂ ତାର ଆମେ ଫଳସ୍ୱରୂପ ଦେଖିଛେ, ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟସ ଗୁଡାକ ଦେଖିଛେ, ଯାହା ଦ୍ୱାରା କି ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ବଡ ବଡ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ସହଜ ଯୋଗୁ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଆନ୍ଦୋଳନ ଗୁଡିକ ହେଇଛି, ଏବଂ এই ଆନ୍ଦୋଳନ ଗୁଡିକ ମୁଖ୍ୟ ହେଲା ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଭାରତରୁ ବିତାଡିତ କରିବା। ଏବଂ ଏଇଠି ଆଜି ଆମେ ଯୋଉ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମଟି ପଢିଥିଲେ, ଆମେ ଆଜି ଡିସ୍କସନ କରିବା ଡିଫରେଣ୍ଟ ଆପ୍ରୋଚେସ୍, ମାନେ କୋଉ କୋଉ ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିଆନ୍ସ ମାନେ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାରଲି ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଜିମ କନସେପ୍ଟକୁ ନେଇକି କଣ ସେମାନଙ୍କର ଭ୍ୟୁ ପଏଣ୍ଟ ରହିଛି, ଅର୍ଥାତ୍ the Indian national movement, as we all know, it was a popular and mass movement. But over the years, the historians have differed their analysis and interpretation regarding the approaches to the study of nationalism in India. Different approaches, such as nationalist approaches, Marxist approaches, and then subaltern approaches, and Orientalist approaches, utilitarian school of historians, and different approaches um, had to be discussed in today's class. So let us start with nationalist approaches or nationalist historians who gave their different viewpoints and opinions regarding the concept of nationalism in India. So before that, different perspectives and different approaches have been used by different historians in interpreting the Indian nationalism. Emergence of India as a modern nation state is an outcome of colonial modernity. The major perspective of historiography of Indian nationalism are discussed in this class. Before we discuss the different approaches, first of all, we should know the meaning and concept of different schools. Like, first of all, what do you mean by nationalist historians school? What do you mean by Marxist historiography? What do you mean by subaltern historiography? And what do you mean by secular historians? Then Orientalist school of historians. So these are the major area which finds a lot of socio historical context. So first of all, nationalist historians. So what is the meaning of nationalist historians? Any any remarks from your side, my dear students? If you have any remarks or any clear cut known to this aspect, any idea from your side? Yes, Deepak?
ଯେଉଁ ଐତିହାସିକ ମାନେ ନିଜ ଦେଶର ବା ନିଜ ଜାତୀୟତାର ଅତୀତର ଗୌରବ ଗାଥାକୁ ବର୍ଣ୍ଣନା କରିଛନ୍ତି ସେମାନଙ୍କୁ ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦୀ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଷ୍ଟ ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିଆନ ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦୀ ଐତିହାସିକ
କୁହାଯାଏ. Very good.
କୁହାଯାଏ.
Who are they? Okay, Deepak, thank you. So the nationalist historian. Yes, sir. Diganta babu ठीक କହିଛନ୍ତି. ତେଣୁ let us first know about the concept of nationalist historians. So those Indian historians who criticized the British colonial policies and exhibited the greatness and glory of India's past are known as nationalist historians. And these nationalist historians always try to cutthroat the policies of Britishers, and they try to put obstacles to the policies of the Britishers. Some famous nationalist historians are Mahadev Govind Ranade, popularly known as M.G. Ranade. Then Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, V.D. Savarkar, R.C. Majumdar, R.K. Mukherjee, Ananta Sadasiv, etc. These nationalist historiography always try to awaken the pride among the Indians and helped to develop or to start the national movement. अर्थात कहया गले ए जो जातीयता जो दीपक बाबू जो कहिले से माने आमर इंडिया रो पास्ट माने अतीत को सदा बेले लोकलोचन को आनी थांती प्रथम कथा नेशनलिस्ट हिस्टोरियन माने एवं सेकेंडली ब्रिटिशर्स मानकर डिफरेंट पॉलिसीज टाकू सदा बेले क्रिटिसाइज करिया को से माने पछांती नाही. एई जो प्रथमे यार विरोध आमे कोथुरु को इयरु पाउचे ना आमे एठी देखिबा एठी particularly this nationalist school emerged as an opposition to imperialistic school, and particularly the social reformers like Raja Rammohn Rai, Dayananda Saraswati were the prominent people who contributed in the formation of nationalistic perspective in India. They played a major role in formation of Indian identity of India through their important movement, through their important samajas, two important samajas. They are Brahmo Samaja and Arya Samaj. And according to nationalist school, nationalism is a major force and sentiment which strengthen the spirit of freedom and liberty. ଜାତୀୟତା ଭାବ, ସ୍ୱାଧୀନ ଚିନ୍ତା, ଏସବୁ ଇକ୍ୱାଲିଟି, ସମାନ ଦେଖିବା, ଏଗୁଡ଼ା ହେଉଛି ଜାତୀୟତା ବୋଧର ପରିଚୟ। ଏବଂ ଏଠି ଏଇ ସ୍କୁଲର ଲୋକମାନେ, this school makes it clear that Indian independence movement as a national movement, it is the movement of the people. It is the movement of the people, and the leaders of this nationalist movement always interpret the past of India, and the different leaders always maintained their dignity regarding the national concept and national concept and the development of freedom movement. So these nationalist historiographers, particularly Gyan Prakash, S.C. Rai Chaudhary, Beni Prasad, R.C. Majumdar, they said that India, as they tried to said the concept of India as a modern nation state in ancient Indian history, in history of Gupta and Maurya dynasty. Nationalist historian ମାନେ ଯେତେବେଳେ କହିଲେ ସାଧାରଣ ଭାବେ ଗୁପ୍ତ ଡାଇନେଷ୍ଟି ଆମର ଫାଷ୍ଟ ଇମ୍ପୋର୍ଟାଣ୍ଟ ଡାଇନେଷ୍ଟି କାହା କୁହାଯାଏ? ନାସନାଲିଷ୍ଟିକ ଡାଇନେଷ୍ଟି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆରେ।
ଗୁପ୍ତ ପିରିୟଡ
ନାଇଁ ସାର୍, ତା ପୂର୍ବକୁ ଯାଆନ୍ତୁ। Mauryan period, because Mauryan period which was founded by Chandragupta Maurya with the help of Kautilya, Vishnugupta or Chanakya. That Mauryan dynasty was regarded as the nationalistic dynasty. Then Gupta dynasty. Because as we all know, during the Mauryan dynasty, the concept of Brahminism also developed, and in the latter period, the concept of Brahminism began to decline. But in Gupta period, again Brahminism revived during the period of Guptas. So these concept of nationalism again highlighted by Romila Thapar. We, my dear students, तुमे माने ये रोमिला थापर को नाम सुनिଛ?
Sir. Yes, sir.
So Romila Thapar, according to Romila Thapar, the concept of nationalism claimed that everything good in India, like spiritualism, political ideas, it developed through art and rich tradition, which completely based on Indian origin. Nationalists even claimed that India's golden age made strong contribution in development of different cultures, not only in India and outside India also. So if you go through the concept of Aryan origin of Aryans, who are the Aryans? My dear student, who are the Aryans? Aryan आर्य माने किए थिले?
The earlier Indian inhabitants of North India. Those have come from northeast western areas.
but the historians differs the origin of Aryans because different historians implemented different ideas regarding the outcome of the Aryans to India. Some historians gave their viewpoint that they came from southern Russia. Some told that they were from central Prussia. Some said they were from Hungary, and our Indian historians, particularly Bal Gangadhar Tilak and other, said that they were from Hungary. But our other historians they told that they were belongs to Sapta Sindhu area. Sapta Sindhu ଜାଣିଛ ପିଲାମାନେ ସାତଟି ନଦୀର ସମାବେଶ ଇନ୍ଦୋ ସିନ୍ଧୁ ଝେଲମ ଚେନାବ ଏଇଠି ଯୋଉ ସପ୍ତ ସିନ୍ଧୁ ରହିଲେ ସେଇଠି ଆର୍ୟ ମାନଙ୍କର ଏଷ୍ଟାବ୍ଲିଶ ମଧ୍ୟ ହେଇଥିଲା ଏବଂ ଆରିଆନ୍ସ ମାନେ ପ୍ରଥମେ ଯୋଉମାନେ ଭାରତରେ ବସତି ସ୍ଥାପନ କରି ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ତାଙ୍କର ଆର୍ଟ ହଉ କଲଚର ହଉ ବା ତାଙ୍କର ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟାଲ ୱାର୍କ ଦ୍ୱାରା ସେ ଭାରତରେ ଗୋଟେ ତାଙ୍କର ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଛାପ ଛାଡିକି ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି ସେଇଭଳିଆ ଆମର ମୋରିୟନ ପିରିୟଡ ହଉ ଗୁପ୍ତ ପିରିୟଡ ହଉ ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ଆମର ମୁସଲିମ ମାନେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆସିଲେ ଆମର ଆଲାଉଦ୍ଦିନ ଖିଲିଜୀଙ୍କ ପିରିୟଡ ହଉ development occurred to tackle the problems of Indian context. Different issues were created, and the concept of Romila Thapar that the nationalists were agree on the periodization of Indian history into Hindu, Muslim, and the British period. As I mentioned you that they from bottom part Aryans, the arrival of different Muslims to India, and the Britishers came India at par with the establishment of their British East India Company. So these approaches, nationalist approaches, very much helpful to the people to look after the concept of nationalism and try to develop the Indian national movement. And they later on many historiographers like Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Aurobindo Ghosh, R.C. Ramesh Chandra Datta, Dada Bhai Naroji came to limelight through their writing materials such as we know that Dada Bhai Naroji wrote a book named Poverty and On-British Rule in India. ଜାଣିଛ ପିଲାମାନେ ଏ ବହି ବିଷୟରେ poverty and on-British rule in India ଯୋଉ drain of wealth discussion କରୁଛି drain of wealth ଦାଦା ଭାଇ ନାରୋଜୀ ସେ ଲେଖିଥିଲେ ଏବଂ ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ଆରସି ଦତ୍ତ ବି ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଲେଖିଲେ ସେ ବହିର ନାଁ ହେଉଛି ଦ ଇକୋନୋମିକ ହିଷ୍ଟ୍ରି ଅଫ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ which based on economic criticism. ଯେମିତି ତୁମେ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ମୁଁ କହିଥିଲି ପ୍ରଥମ କ୍ଲାସରେ ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନେ ସାଧାରଣତଃ ଭାରତକୁ କୋଉ ଇଏରେ ଆସିଥିଲେ ଯେ ବାଣିଜ୍ୟ ବ୍ୟବସାୟ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଆସିଥିଲେ କିନ୍ତୁ ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ସେ ରହିକି ଭାରତର ଅର୍ଥନୀତିଟାକୁ ଏତେ ଦୁର୍ବଳ କରିଦେଲେ ଯେ ଭାରତର ଡ୍ରେନ୍ ଅଫ ୱେଲ୍ଥ ଯୋଉଟା ମୁଁ କହୁଛି ଭାରତରୁ ଅର୍ଥନୀତି ନେଇକି ତାଙ୍କ ଦେଶକୁ ମାନେ ଡେଭଲପ କରାଇଲେ କିନ୍ତୁ whereas India crippled ତଳକୁ ତଳ ଖସି ଆସିଲା ଯୋଉଥିପାଇଁ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲିଷ୍ଟ ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିଆନ୍ସ ମାନେ ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ମୁହୂର୍ତ୍ତରେ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କୁ ମାନେ ଦର୍ଶାଇଥିଲେ ଏଇଆ ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହେଇଛି ଏବଂ ୟାକୁ ଉତ୍ତରେଇବା ପାଇଁ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ବଡ ବଡ ଲିଡର୍ସ ମାନେ ଆଗକୁ ଆସିଥିଲେ ଏବଂ ଆସିକି ସେମାନେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟରେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଭାରତରେ ଆଗକୁ ଭାରତରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟକୁ ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କ ବିରୁଦ୍ଧରେ ସ୍ୱର ଉତ୍ତୋଳନ କରିଥିଲେ। ସେମିତି ମାର୍କ୍ସିଷ୍ଟ ହିଷ୍ଟୋରିଆନ ଆଫ୍ଟର nationalist historian, Marxist historian came to the fold, and particularly these Marxist historians emphasized the importance of class conflict and the power of economic interest in their studies, revealing the influence of Karl Marx and Engels worked together in almost total isolation, and when Marx died, it would have been difficult for casual observers not to conclude that his ideas would disappear with him. Marxism, Karl Marx, and other historians, particularly Hegel, Marxist interpretation कौन कहला? क्लास स्ट्रगल दास कैपिटल के लिखते
मार्क्स का
सर आपन वॉइस का क्लियर आसुनी।
हेलो
कार्ल मार्क्स सर।
हेलो, am I audible to you?
Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir. कुंतु. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hello,
Yes, sir.
hello,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Firoz.
यस सर यस सर पूछिए सर।
गायत्री,
Yes, sir.
फिरोज सुबुज तो?
हाँ सर
Yes,
सुभाष
sir.
सर
Yes,
वॉइस
sir.
क्लियर चला बोले।
हेलो,
हाँ सर सुबह
कल्पना,
Yes, sir.
उत्पला राउत,
ଆଜ୍ଞା ସାର୍ ହଁ ଶୁଭ ଫାଷ୍ଟ ରୁ ଶୁଭା ଯାଉନଥିଲା ଏବେ ଟିକେ କ୍ଲିୟର ଆସୁଛି। ଶୁଭା
ଫାଷ୍ଟରୁ
ଯାଉଛି
ଶୁଭୁନି?
ଫାଷ୍ଟ ରୁ ଶୁଭା ଯାଉନଥିଲା ଏବେ କ୍ଲିୟର ଅଛି।
हाँ, ठीक है। So, Marxist interpretation of the Indian national movement is coming
ସାର୍
from
ଏବେ
a...
କ୍ଲିୟର ଅଛି କିଛି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ନାହିଁ କୁହନ୍ତୁ।
हाँ, ठीक है। Okay, thank you. So, Marxist interpretation of the Indian national movement is coming from a particular world view of Marxist ideas about economic class contradiction and perception of history. As we know, the Marxist historians are those who are generally progressive in politics, always believe in the importance of class conflict, and always try to develop the power of economic interest in their studies. This approach, particularly this Marxist approach, analysis how the Indian national movement is interpreted by Marxist historiographers of India. But the Marxist school emerged and developed on the basis of fundamental ideas of Karl Marx, Lenin, and later on different Marxist historians were R. Palme, Dutt, and A.R. Desai. They are the founders of Marxist historiography of nationalism in India. So, who are they? R. Palme, Dutt, and A.R. Desai were the founders of Marxist historiography of nationalism in India. According to the Marxist school, Marxist school, nationalism in India was an ideology of upper class native bourgeois, peasantry, and other lower caste people were widely ignored by nationalist elite during Indian national movement. Thus, Indian independent movement was a movement of Indian elites. Actually, ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଦେଖିଲେ ପ୍ରଥମ ଫେଜରେ ଯେ ଜାତୀୟତାବାଦ historian ମାନେ, nationalist historian ମାନେ, they always criticize the British colonial policies and they try to glorify the India's past. But the Marxist historians, they try to implement the ideology of upper class native bourgeois माने सेमाने इकोनॉमिक क्लास peasantry other lower class people मानकु हाईलाइट करिया चाहंती जथा जेतेबेले आमे देखिचे कास्ट सिस्टम Marxist writers always have their main theme including the caste system and the changes happened in the caste system. So, what do you mean by caste system? Caste system कहले कौन बुझो जाति प्रथा कहले कौन बुझो पिलाने
सर प्रथम एटा ऑक्युपेशन को नेकी कास्ट सिस्टम टा डेवलप होतला परेडा हायरार्की हे गला
हां किंतु ए कास्ट सिस्टम ता प्रथमे केबे आरंभ होला
लेटर वैदिक पीरियड एवं ए जो ऋग वैदिक पीरियड रे थिला कि
नो सर नथिला
काहे कि नथिला
कारण से समय जे कोनसी व्यक्ति जे कोनसी ब्रज को अवलंबन करि पथला मात्र परवर्ती वैदिक युग रे
सेही समय रे कारण जते बेले वैदिक पीरियड टी दुई भाग रे विभक्त हला कोन आदि वैदिक युग एवं परवर्ती वैदिक युग प्रथमे जे माने आदि वैदिक युग माने आ युग लोक माने बस स्थापन कले तांकर सामाजिक अवस्था अति सहज और सरल थिला से समय रे कोनोसी जाति प्रथा नथिला एवं से माने समस्त एकत्रित होई काम करथिले but during the latter Vedic period
अर्ली वैदिक रे सर वर्ण सिस्टम ता थिला ना सर
अर्ली वैदिक पीरियड रे भी वर्ण सिस्टम नथिला वर्ण सिस्टम रो कांसेप्ट ही नथिला कारण लाटर वैदिक पीरियड रे ए वर्ण सिस्टम रो आरंभ होइतिला अर्ली वैदिक एज रे जेहेतु कास्ट सिस्टम नथिला वर्ण रो भेदभाव भी किछि कोनोसी प्रकार आइडियाज डेवलप हे नथिला किंतु एटी डेवलप हेतिला लाटर वैदिक पीरियड रे केमिति ना तुमरो कास्ट सिस्टम हैला ता सहित चतुर आश्रम भी भेला चतुर आश्रम जानछ
यस सर
चारोटी आश्रम देकी जो गति करंती
गृहस्थी सन्यासी एटा तो
हां वानप्रस्थ सन्यास
ब्रह्मचर्य गृहस्थ वानप्रस्थ सन्यास
ए जो चारोटी कास्ट सिस्टम ऑक्युपेशन को नेकी हेतला एवं चारोटी फोरफोल्ड कास्ट सिस्टम थिला कोन कोन ना ब्राह्मण क्षत्रिय वैश्य शूद्र द रोल ऑफ ब्राह्मण माने कोन काम थिला the main occupation of brahmana to look after the temple worship number 1 number 2 he acted as a teacher and tried to teach the pupils or students in gurukulas and ashramas number 3 he acted as a middleman between the king and the people because during that time after the king brahmana occupied the next position then the last one he acted as a chief physician माने प्रथम हैला ब्राह्मण रो प्रथम कर्तव्य होउची मंदिर रे पूजा करिबा नंबर 2 रे गुरुकुल आश्रम रे पिलां को पाठ पढाया नंबर 3 रे he was the link between king and the people माने से राजा एवं लोक मानक मध्य रे मिडिल मैन मझी लोक कारण लोक मानकर जो व्यू पॉइंट बा तांकर प्रॉब्लम्स ब्राह्मण नै कि काहा को सुनाए राजा को राजा ब्राह्मण को जहा सुनाए ब्राह्मण आसी कि पुणी आसी कि कोए काहा को लोक मानक तेनो ही इज द लिंक between the king and the people last one he acted as a chief physician as we all know during that period there is no doctor and no medical but they have to depend on the various ayurvedic medicines prepared by these brahmanas जो आमे माने जो आयुर्वेद जो खाउचे चेरमूली औषध को माने ब्राह्मण माने ही करूथिले तेनु वैद्य रूपे से माने मध्य काम करथिले नेक्स्ट वन क्षत्रियज they were the warrior class peoples they used to create different warrior peoples for the protection of the area or the protection of a nation or the protection of a country. Then the Vaishya, they are the agricultural peoples. Number four, Sudras, they serve these three peoples like Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas. So these caste system developed during that period. Likewise, till today, it was till today it is also going through different phases, like approaches towards removing Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. In that respect, Shudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, Brahmana. କେମିତି ମୁଁ ପିଲାମାନେ ବୁଝିଲ କି ନାହିଁ ଜାଣିପାରୁଛ କି ନାହିଁ ଆଗ ଥିଲା କଣ ବ୍ରାହ୍ମଣ କ୍ଷତ୍ରିୟ ବୈଶ୍ୟ ଶୂଦ୍ର କିନ୍ତୁ 21st ସେଞ୍ଚୁରୀରେ କିଏ ଫାଷ୍ଟ ଅଛି 21st ସେଞ୍ଚୁରୀରେ କୋଉ ଲୋୟର କାଷ୍ଟ ସିଷ୍ଟମ ଟା କେମିତି ଡିଭାଇଡ ହେଇଛି
So Shudra represent the great bulk of Indian population.
Yes, right. That's why Shudra, then ଆସିଗଲେ କଣ ବୈଶ୍ୟ, then କ୍ଷତ୍ରିୟ, then Brahmanas. So these Marxist historians always adopted Marxist methods of writing history. So after that, another school of approaches began to limelight. They were known as the Subaltern Historians. Subaltern historians or subaltern group peoples because history is the recorded struggle of people for ever increasing freedom and for newer higher realization of the human process. The subaltern approach centers on and around the people as people constitute the central theme of history. Apart from nationalist historians and Marxist historians, another important school of historians came to fold and they interpreted the Indian nationalism in their own way. Like, first of all, the meaning of, we have to know meaning of subaltern and who is the subaltern, and then we can proceed to the concept or the subaltern approaches to the Indian nationalism. So, first of all, the word subaltern comes from the Latin word, two Latin words, sub, sub means below, and alternus, all others. So, subaltern used to describe someone of a low rank or class, as in your caste system, and low rank as in your military system. So, this subaltern meaning, if you go in a simple form, this subaltern meaning of inferior rank. It is an inferior rank, mane tala rank. Mane history from below, grassroots level start heichi. This subaltern approaches mode of explaining history, also known as history from below. History from below, and it is a new trend of writing history. Subaltern studies or subaltern approaches is a new trend of writing history, and the concept of subaltern is first adopted by Antonio Gramsci, that person who was an Italian Marxist and Communist Party leader, who refers to those groups in society as the ruling classes, because a subaltern is someone with a low ranking in a social, political, and other hierarchy. So these people of subaltern approaches, they try to highlight the alternative analysis of Indian nationalism. They have used the history of a below approach like the European Marxist. Subaltern approach emphasize the autonomous domain of subaltern groups. It highlights the contribution made by the common people and downtrodden people, particularly the downtrodden people or the common people. They were simply the peasants, the laborers, the workers, and the Dalits, etc. They wanted to draw the attention of elite class regarding the contribution made by the subaltern class. So these people try to emphasize the role of subaltern group in independent movement, because the contribution of subaltern group in various kinds of revolt. ତେଣୁ ଏଇଠି ଆମେ ଯଦି ସବଲ୍ଟନ ଗ୍ରୁପ କୁ ନବା, ଏଇଠି ସବଲ୍ଟନ ଗ୍ରୁପ କୋଉ ମାନେ ରହିଗଲେ? ପିଜାନ୍ସ। ବୁଝିପାରିଲ କି ନାଇଁ ପିଲାମାନେ? ପିଜାନ୍ସ ଗ୍ରୁପ ହଉ ବା ଆମର ଲେବରର ଗ୍ରୁପ୍ସ ହଉ ବା ଆପଣଙ୍କର ଦଳିତ ମାନେ ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ, ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ପିଜାନ୍ସ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ହେଇଛି ଇଣ୍ଡିପେଣ୍ଡେଣ୍ଟ ସମୟରେ। ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଦଳିତ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ମଧ୍ୟ ହେଇଛି, ଲେବର ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ମଧ୍ୟ ହେଇଛି। ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ଗୁଡିକ ହେଇଛି, ସେଇ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ ଗୁଡିକ ହାଇଲାଇଟ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାରଲି ଆମର ଭାରତରେ ଏଇ ସବଲ୍ଟନ ଷ୍ଟଡିଜ ଗ୍ରୁପର, ସବଲ୍ଟନ ଅର୍ଥ ଜାଣିପାରିଲ ଇମ୍ପେରିୟର ଗ୍ରୁପ, ତଳୁଆ ଲୋକ। ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ସବଲ୍ଟନ ଷ୍ଟଡିଜ ଗ୍ରୁପର ଲୋକମାନେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଲେବର କ୍ଲାସ, ପିଜାନ୍ସ ହଉ ବା ଦଳିତ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି ତାଙ୍କର ଡେଭଲପମେଣ୍ଟକୁ ଦେଖେଇଛନ୍ତି ଭାରତୀୟ ଇତିହାସରେ। ଏବଂ ୟାର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ପୁରୁଧା ହେଲେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଟର୍ମ ସବଲ୍ଟନ ର ମୁଖ୍ୟ ପୁରୁଧା ହେଲେ ଯୋଉ ତା ଟର୍ମଟା, it was coined by Antino Gramsci. I have already mentioned you that who was Antino Gramsci? Who was Antino Gramsci, my dear student? Antino Gramsci କିଏ?
coined the subaltern.
Yes, coined the subaltern, but I have already mentioned you that he was an Italian Marxist and Communist Party leader. So when you go through the concept of subaltern, you have to write the concept or the term or the word first used by Antino Gramsci, and Antino Gramsci coined the term subaltern, and that subaltern mode of explaining history also known as history from below. This Antino Gramsci belongs to Italy. He was a Marxist and Communist Party leader. But in India, came to India, this subaltern groups was founded by an Indian historian whose name was Ranjit Guha. He founded the school in the year 1982 AD. So in India, who founded the subaltern studies?
Ranjit Guha.
Ranjit Guha. In which year? In the year 1982. So the concept of subaltern in India, these group of peoples highlighted the concept of nationalism in a national broader national way, and they try to highlight different approaches to develop the inner concept of the lower class people. So Ranjit Guha edited different books, and it is a school that originated in India 1982 to protest that historiography of Indian nationalism is based on different beliefs, and it approached by different persons, and it is a collection of certain classes or groups which always try to criticize and cutthroat contest against the British policies. So ଏଇଠି ରଞ୍ଜିତ ଗୁହା ତାଙ୍କ ଟିମ୍ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ନେଇକି ସେ ଗୋଟେ ବହି ଲେଖିଥିଲେ। ସେ ବହିର ନାଁ ହଉଛି ସମ୍ ଆସ୍ପେକ୍ଟସ୍ of the history of colonial India. ସେଇ ବହିରେ ସେ କେମିତି ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କ ଏଗନେଷ୍ଟରେ ସ୍ୱର ଉତ୍ତୋଳନ କରିବେ, କୋଉ ଲୋକମାନେ, ପର୍ଟିକୁଲାରଲି ଦ ଲୋୟର କ୍ଲାସ ପିପୁଲ ମାନେ, ପିଜାନ୍ସ, ଲେବରର୍ସ, ଦଳିତ, ଦଳିତ ମାନଙ୍କର ଯୋଉ ଥିଲେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଲିଡର୍ସ ମାନେ, ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏଇ ସବଲ୍ଟନ ଆପ୍ରୋଚ ଯାଇକି ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଜାତୀୟତା ଭାବ ସୃଷ୍ଟି କରିଥିଲେ। ଏବଂ ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ରଞ୍ଜିତ ଗୁହାଙ୍କ ପରେ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ପ୍ରକାର ଆସିଗଲେ, ଯେମିତିକି ପାର୍ଥ ଚାଟାର୍ଜୀ, ଶହୀଦ ଅମିନ, ସୁମିତ ସରକାର, ଜ୍ଞାନେନ୍ଦ୍ର ପାଣ୍ଡେ, ଡାଭିଡ ଆର୍ନୋଲ୍ଡ, David Hardman, was some other scholars who joined this this subaltern approach, subaltern groups, and they tried to highlight the new challenges by crossing the traditional writings of history. They tried to highlight the new concept of traditional writing history, and these concept of history from below, which was started by the subaltern historian. This trend also started the trend of writing in England also. So different views were interpreted by the different historians of different approaches like nationalist, Marxist, and subaltern approaches. And subaltern school of thought highlighted the contribution.
ସାର୍ ଏଇ ରଞ୍ଜିତ ଗୁହା ତ ମାର୍କସିଷ୍ଟକୁ ସେମାନେ କ୍ରିଟିସାଇଜ କରିଥିଲେ ସାର୍।
ହଁ, ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ଏଇ ଯାଉଛି ବା ସେଠିକି। ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ଯୋଉଟା ମୁଁ ଆଗ କହୁଛି ଶୁଣି ସାର। Subaltern school of thought highlighted the contribution made by the people of lower caste of Indian society, and these subaltern people, both the subaltern studies of history or the subaltern school thought, they highlighted the studies of history claims to be an improvement on the elitist mode, both Marxist and non-Marxist type. ସେମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ମାର୍କ୍ସିଷ୍ଟ ମାନଙ୍କୁ ଫେଭରରେ ନଥିଲେ। ସେମାନେ ନିଜ ନିଜର ଦୋ ମାର୍କ୍ସିଷ୍ଟ historians also highlight the caste system, but they did not favor the British policies. But this subaltern school of thought always highlighted the contribution made by the people of lower caste of Indian society, particularly the laborers, peasants, and Dalits. So these are the main important aspects, and the history written till now is one-sided, partial, not showing two pictures of low-level group in the society. These works, particularly different aspects of these approaches, highlighted the concept of Indian nationalism, and later on this concept developed the reformism and anti-reformism in 19th century with the development of the Indian Renaissance, the beginning of Indian Renaissance, and the beginning of a new area in 19th century with the arrival of the eminent personalities of India like Raja Rammohn Rai, Swami Dayananda Saraswati, and Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, then Jyotiba Phule, and other dignitaries like Ramakrishna Paramahansa, M.G. Ranade, Vivekananda. They developed different movements and different societies to challenge the caste system, to challenge the Sati system, to challenge the Purda system, and try to ban the Sati system, child widow remarriage, and try to highlight the different approaches of the concept of nationalism. Even if the Muslims were also try to play their role to through their different movements like Aligarh movement, Deoband movement, Singh Sabha movement. These movements, the last one, Singh Sabha movement, there was a Sikh movement which began in the late 19th century to challenge the activities of the Christians. So these are the movements, important reform movement which was developed in India during the period of the 19th century. And these movements were started through the contributions of different societies like Brahmo Samaja Society, Arya Samaja Society, Theosophical Society, and different Muslim reform movement and Sikh movements. So these are the concept of nationalism regarding the approaches to the study of nationalism in India. Clear? Hello? Clear hello pilane?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so next class we'll discuss the foundation of Indian National Congress. Before the foundation of the Indian National Congress, several societies were developed, several organizations were developed. That should be discussed, and thereafter we move to Swadeshi movement, the first Indian movement. Through this movement, the Britishers tried to cripple the Indian people, particularly the Bengali people, with the partition of Bengal. So these will be these matters will be discussed in our next class.
Sir, block 1 sorila na? Block 1 sorila na, sir?
Block 1, okay, complete.
So कालठू block 2 start हबो, sir.
Block 2 start हबो. Phases of national movements. ଯଥା ଯୋଉଗୁଡିକ ଆମେ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ କଂଗ୍ରେସ ରୁ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିବା, ବୁଝିପାରିଲ? ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ ନ୍ୟାସନାଲ କଂଗ୍ରେସ ରୁ ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିବା, ଆଉ ତା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ଯୋଉ ବିଭିନ୍ନ ଆସୋସିଏସନ୍ସ ଗୁଡିକ ହେଇଥିଲା ସେଗୁଡିକ ବିଷୟରେ ଟିକେ ହାଇଲାଇଟ କରିବା, ତାପରେ ସ୍ୱଦେଶୀ ମୁଭମେଣ୍ଟ କୁ ଯିବା।